Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Virtual Town Hall. It is March 2022. Can you believe it? We are so happy to be here with you. My name is Diego Rodriguez here on behalf of the Ammon Bundy for Governor campaign. Ammon's going to be up here in just a minute. But we have a couple of things that I wanted to review with you guys really quick before we get started. So again, I just wanted to welcome everybody from all across the fruited plain of Idaho, and also all the folks who are tuning in from out of state, and also Agent Carlos and all the people from the FBI, NSA, and all the other alphabet soup agencies who like to listen in and infiltrate on Ammon's events. Welcome. We are glad to have you here. We got nothing to hide, unlike you guys, but hey, we're happy to have you here as well. We want to let you guys know how this works. This is live. So first thing we want to test is to make sure you guys know how to chat. So right beneath you in your Zoom interface, there is a button that says chat. Go ahead and click that button, and you can then type in the field that shows up your chat message. It will not only pop up for you and for everybody else to chat, but right here off to the left, there is a giant chat screen. So Ammon, when necessary, can look over to the left and see where you guys are, where you're calling in from, and read your messages. So let's go ahead and test it really quick. Go ahead and let me know really quick in the chat box where you are tuning in from. Type it in right here, and you'll see that I can interact with you in real time. So Trent is from Coeur d'Alene, Debbie from Parma. Now, oh wow, it's going so fast now. So the bottom line, it works. You guys can see this is how it works. We can see you right here off to the left. Easy from Emmett, Sherry from Post Falls, Jason from Rigby, Rathdrum, New Meadows. Sorry I don't have time to read everybody's, but we just want to let you know how that works. Now, at the end of the broadcast, Ammon likes to take live question and answer. And the way that happens is we're going to bring you up just like a regular Zoom meeting. So we can see you, Ammon can see you directly, and everybody else can see you as well. However, we want to make sure that it's done professionally. We want to make sure that we can hear you. We know what your question is going to be. So we have a very quick screen process. So the way this happens is very, very simple. What we want you to do is we want you to go ahead and in that same interface, there's this button right beneath you that says reactions. And Bone, don't forget to switch that to cut instead of dissolve. And all you got to do is raise hand. Click this button right here. You'll see that it's a black hand because I'm a black guy, and so that's how we have to put that right there. But just click the raise hand button, and that is your digital hand. Your digital hand will raise, and one of our moderators will go ahead and connect with you to make sure that your camera works, to make sure that your microphone works, and that you're ready to be brought up live. However, please pay attention to this part really quick. Once you've raised your hand, our moderator will contact you through the chat. So if you raise your hand, please pay attention to the chat. We've had several town halls where people are not paying attention to their chat, so the moderator cannot connect with you. And then we got to put your hand down because you're not communicating with us. So please be sure to pay attention to your chat so we can bring you up live and you can ask Ammon any question that you want. All right, so that is how that process works, and we just wanted to make you aware of how that all works. Now, before we bring Ammon up, I asked for permission to have a little rant here today with you guys because your governor, non-binary Brad Little, has just released earlier today a press release that is so full of lies, that is so full of garbage, that it literally made me sick to my stomach. I couldn't stand it. I didn't know what to do with myself. I mean, it's one of those things where you want to punch somebody. It's just absolutely insane. And I'm not advocating violence, but I'm just saying you know what it feels like. So you can go to the governor's website, and here's where it is right here, the office of the governor, and just Google it or whatever you have to do. And you can see here that he is claiming he is going to end the public health disaster emergency declaration on April 15th. Now, if you read this, and I'm going to read a couple of portions of it here for you, it's absolutely insane what he says in here. And so for those who've been paying attention, you tell me if this is true, all right? So when I say paying attention, I mean paying attention to what's been going on. Here's his statement. He says, and this is your governor, non-binary Brad, declaring this: I kept Idaho open. Look at that. He actually said that. He says that he banned vaccine mandates, a lie. He never issued mandates for vaccines or masks, another lie. and he successfully challenged Biden's overreaching vaccine mandates in court. He is trying to tell you guys, he's trying to tell Idahoans he's the good guy. He's a conservative. He never locked Idaho down. He's lying through his teeth. It's a press release. Let me go on and keep reading. Then he says this. He says, the emergency declaration served as an administrative function to recoup FEMA dollars for a variety of needs throughout Idaho. Now, first of all, I'll just make a quick comment on this. Ammon will probably talk about it later because I don't really want to talk about this part. But he's admitting that the only reason that we had an emergency here, the only reason had nothing to do with your health, had nothing to do with protecting people's lives. It was for the money. He's admitting here, we did this for the money. We did this to get federal dollars from the federal government. That's why it was done. But if that's not egregious enough for you, get ready for the next part. I hope you have your hurl bags to puke your guts out. Listen to what he says next. He then says, the emergency declaration never violated or restricted any rights of Idahoans, never put Idaho on lockdown, and never allowed for mandates for masks or vaccines. These are the facts. What kind of freaking facts are you talking about here? There's nothing factual about that. It is all a full-fledged, bald-faced lie. It's lie after lie after lie, and he thinks he can get away with it. You guys type right here into the chat, and you tell me, does this square with your recollection of the last 2 years? Does this sound legit? And number two, I have two questions I want to ask you guys I want you to respond to over here. Question number one is, do you believe people are going to believe this? I'm going to tell you my opinion is, yes, I believe they will. They absolutely will believe it. And that's the problem with Idaho in general and why we need someone like Ammon Bundy running for governor. Because people believe lies. They're ignorant. They don't know what in the world is going on. So that's my first question for you. Yeah, probably, Susan says. JD says, time to fire Chicken Little. Boop the commies. Wendy says, I'm afraid they will. On and on. So you guys get it. Now here's my second question. What are you going to do? What are you going to commit to do tonight to ensure that these lies don't go unchallenged? Well, I got this earlier and I was so furious we fired off a press release ourselves, and I'm holding it here in my never before nicotine stained hands because I don't smoke. All right, so I responded and I just want to read a few excerpts from it, and then we're going to bring Ammon up because I've got to get this off my chest and on my soapbox here, get it all out. So just a few responses. He said he kept Idaho open. That's what he said. This is a lie. He did not keep Idaho open. It was shut down. Businesses were shut down. Churches were shut down. Companies were classified as either, companies and individuals, as either essential or non-essential. And if you were non-essential, you were shut down. He says he kept it open. That's a lie, a complete lie. Otherwise, explain to me why in Idaho, and Ammon's showed this over and over again, so we're not going to show the videos over and over again unless you want to see it. I'm sure we could do it again just for kicks and giggles for whatever reason you want. But why did we have pastors arrested here, or a pastor arrested in Idaho if we were never shut down? Why was Sarah Brady, a mother at the park, arrested for just being at the park? Why was the Kendrick Brewing Company shut down or raided if we were never shut down? He's lying. He's lying through his teeth, and it's your job to make sure he doesn't get away with it. Then he said this. He says, I banned vaccine mandates. Banned vaccine mandates? They were never banned. People lost their jobs from St. Luke's, from St. Al's, from companies all over the state of Idaho. People were getting fired, losing their jobs. We were holding protests all around the state. And he's coming out here trying to lie to you, saying he never did. He never allowed such a thing to happen because he banned the vaccine mandates. Don't let him get away with a lie. Then he says this, and this is the one that really chaps my hide. He said, I never issued mandates for masks. I never issued mandates for masks. And here's how he gets around that. Because he did force the masks on Idahoans. The way he did it, and Ammon already described this in great detail, showing you guys the videos in the last two virtual town halls. But what he did specifically was he ordered his chief of staff named Zach Hogue, who used to work for IACI, the largest lobbyist group in town, who controls Brad Little and Scott Bedke and everybody else. They're the real Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. They're controlling everybody with money. Zach Hogue, Brad Little's chief of staff, was ordered through Iakian and through Brad to contact all the health districts in Idaho. And he threatened them to ensure and force that they put mask mandates all throughout the state. So that way, Brad Little could say, I didn't issue mask mandates. Or maybe I didn't issue mask mandates. He instead was saying, no, it was the health districts who did that, and he didn't do it. It's a lie because he's the one who forced it. He ordered it to happen. Remember, the one who gives the order is the one who has the greater responsibility, not even necessarily the one who executes. They're both guilty, but the one who gives the order has the greater sin. Jesus said that himself. Look it up for yourself. So don't let him get away with that lie. Then he says this, I successfully challenged Biden's overreaching vaccine mandates in court. That's a bunch of nonsense because it's a specious statement or argument because other states started that lawsuit. Other states were the ones who actually created that, and he just jumped on the bandwagon like, me too, we want to do that too. This way I can show all of our uninformed voters what a great guy I am. It's complete nonsense. Don't buy it. But then he says this, are you ready? He says the emergency declaration never violated or restricted any rights of Idahoans, never put Idaho on lockdown, and never allowed for mandates for masks or vaccines. These are the facts. Look, we already, and I'll bring it up right here, we already posted here, I'll bring this back up. We already posted this on our PAC website. This is the 8 ways the Constitution was violated in Idaho in 2022. You can look that up over there at freedomman.org. But the bottom line is all of your major rights, except for the Second Amendment, were all violated by his emergency orders. We had this included, again, people being arrested for going to church, others for sitting in the press box at the Capitol, others were arrested for just peacefully protesting. There was the use of contact tracing against Idaho citizens, which is contrary to the Fourth Amendment. We had our right to travel was infringed upon. We had the elimination of jury trials here in Idaho. We had the classification of citizens and businesses based on essential or non-essential that the government creates. These things violated the First, the Fourth, the Fifth, the Seventh, the Sixth, and the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Our rights were violated. Your rights were violated, and non-binary Brad's trying to get away with it. He's trying to lie and say that it didn't happen. And the last one that I have to mention right here, and then I'll get Ammon up because forgive me for going on my soapbox, but we needed to get this information out to people because they're going to buy this. People are going to buy this lie. And this last one right here, you're never going to believe this. The press release goes on to say, only the governor can lawfully end an emergency order. You know what? You've got to see this for yourself to believe it. So let me just bring this back up one more time, okay? He says it right over here. Right over here. Doom, doom, doom. The emergency without the information. Okay, here we go. Only the governor can lawfully end an emergency declaration. You guys see this right here? It's on his page. We want to show this to you because after we come out and get him here really good, I wouldn't doubt they're going to change it and try to act like it never said that because it is another bald-faced lie. Now, first of all, if you go to the actual statute, and I'll bring it up right here so you can see it. In fact, let's bring it up full screen. Here you see highlighted that no state of disaster emergency may continue for longer than 30 days unless the governor finds that it should be continued for another 30 days or any part thereof. So that means the maximum time frame we have is 60 days is the maximum we are allowed to have according to Idaho state statute. The fact that we've been in a state of emergency for over 2 years is totally illegal. But look, the state of Idaho and the Republican Party of Idaho has done nothing about it. They've let this go on without consequence. Our Attorney General has done nothing. Our legislature has done nothing. Nobody's done a thing, and the people just shrug and say, oh, well. So that already is illegal. But let's go back and finish what it says. Take a look at this. Right after it says, the legislature, by concurrent resolution, look at the second part of what's underlined in yellow, may terminate a state of disaster emergency at any time. The legislature can terminate a state of emergency at any time. That is the Idaho State Statute 46-1008. Look it up yourself. That's a screenshot right from the website. Here. That's a screenshot right from their website. You can look it up yourself. So when Brad Little says in his press release, only the governor can lawfully end an emergency order, it's a bald-faced lie. Homeboy is lying to you. So I'm asking you to join with me in calling today for the resignation of Governor Brad Little. He's an absolute disgrace to the state of Idaho, and I'll just write it here and say what I said, and then we'll bring up Ammon because my blood is boiling. Says this: Brad Little and his goons and cronies should be ashamed of themselves for openly and impudently lying to the people of Idaho. I immediately call for the resignation of Governor Brad Little for pathologically lying in his press release, for illegally keeping Idaho in a state of emergency for over 2 years, and for violating the constitutional rights of Idaho citizens. This is complete insanity, people. And if you guys let this go on, I'm here to tell you, you have an opportunity, I believe, given to you by God to preserve liberty and freedom here for yourself and for your posterity. And if Idahoans do not unite and gather together to put people like Ammon in office, Ammon specifically, and others who are fighters for freedom, then Idaho deserves what it gets. And I don't want to see that. I love Idaho. I love this people. I have this land. And I love America, and Idaho's part of America. But we do get the government we deserve. And if we know that this kind of stuff is going on, and we're showing it to you and demonstrating it to you, and the people of Idaho do nothing and bring it back and welcome it with open arms, then we get what we deserve. Let it not be so in Idaho. So, with that, my brothers and sisters, I want to give you one quick reminder, super quick reminder. At the end of the broadcast tonight, when we bring people up to do question and answer, please raise your digital hand and then be mindful of your chat so that our moderators can connect with you to ensure your microphone's on, your camera's on, and they're ready, and that you're ready to come up live with Ammon. All right, so I feel better now getting that off my chest, brother. Without any further delay, and thank you for bearing with me, we want to bring up the next governor of the great state of Idaho, none other than my brother from another mother. And you're definitely from another mother, that much for sure, brother. I mean, they say we all look alike, but you know. All right. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for my man, Ammon Bundy.
Thank you, brother. All right. Okay, thank you, Diego. I feel as equally passionate about what Diego said. In fact, so you may remember, I've said this a few times, that my family was prosecuted in the federal courts multiple times, and my father had to deal with the Bureau of Land Management, the other BLM, for decades. My grandfather had to deal with them, and when we were in court, we were getting ready to go into trial, and we're kind of going back and forth. It was really, actually, to be honest with you, a terrible situation. But in the holding cell in the back dungeon of the federal court building, my dad told me, because we knew that they were going to, the Bureau of Land Management agents were going to start testifying on the stand. And my dad was like, I have never known, this is going to be a pretty hard statement, I've never known any Bureau of Land Management agent that doesn't lie. And I thought to myself, even in the condition I was in, surely that can't be the case. However, we get in the courtroom, and every single one of them that got on the stand lied. Now, in God's way, we were able to expose it, and we truly did impeach each one of them with true hard evidence, and they all, the jury understood that they were lying, but they still did it. And I remember how that made me feel. I also remember as a young man how somebody that I loved and was close to me lied, and how that made me feel. And when I read this statement from Governor Little, it made me feel that exact same way. We can't allow him to pull the wool over the people's eyes of Idaho. We just simply can't. We must make sure that he is accountable for all the terrible things that he did to us in Idaho. Let's not forget what he did, that he actually issued an emergency stay-at-home order or a self-isolation order. And he wants to now sell everybody down the road and act like he's this great conservative. One other thing, I did a video on this as well, and then I'll get off this soapbox. Governor Little is trying to make himself look like this great conservative now, where before he was pulling in billions of dollars because he was following a liberal agenda in order to redistribute wealth, the greatest redistribution of wealth ever known in the history of this country and the history of man. And Governor Little has received $18.7 billion into his own office. And then him and his little buddies have created a PAC where they're the ones that decide where this money is spent without legislative oversight. And among other things, I've explained this to you, but we cannot forget what he has done and allow him and his buddies to continue in power. If he does, what are we saying to him? That's no different than a parent giving the message to the child, when they act bad, they get rewarded. There's no difference. We must preserve the liberty of Idaho, and the way we do that in this situation is we hold those people accountable who have been contrary to liberty. All right. So let's move on here a little bit. I've got some housekeeping items to go through, and I need to get with that. So let me get here to my presentation, and we're going to talk a little bit. So first of all, I want to thank everybody who made the Colin Ray event such a great event. I mean, what a fun time, and what a great entertainer Colin Ray was. And I just want to thank you for it was just, I thought it was such a wonderful concert. It was cold, there's no doubt about that, but it was a wonderful setting. The music and his entertaining was amazing, and the company was, for me, the best part. So thank you for that. I did want to say that there was, and you may be aware of it, but we had these beer cups that actually were collector cups that had Keep Idaho IDAHO a concert and Colin Ray, and it had the date on them. But the problem was there was no beer there. And I wanted to explain this a little bit because we had to make a decision. We had to make a decision the last minute because of the venue, got their corporate officers involved and so forth. And ultimately, the last minute, they said that they can't serve alcohol and people have guns coming in. Before, the message was, and what we understood and made as our policy, is they couldn't be drinking alcohol and have open weapons, and the law allows that, but they made that stronger policy, or at least informed us that they had a stronger policy than we were aware of. So we were caught in a situation where we had to decide whether we were going to allow alcohol and them to disarm people at the door. And that just wasn't going to happen. So we ended up making a negotiation where they wouldn't serve alcohol. And we did that because we were not going to allow them to disarm people at the door. Because we believe that the right to bear arms is the surest and most secure way to be as a people. We don't believe that to going into a large area where a bunch of people are at, and then a few security guards basically are responsible for our defense. We believe that our defense is our responsibility, and we should have the tools to do that. Now, that did cost us. It cost the campaign $5,000 because we had to make up for the loss of alcohol sales that they would have made. And the reason I tell you this is because I just want you to know that we're going to stand for your rights. we're going to stand on correct principles, even if it costs us money, or even if it somehow is a little bit, contrary to a normal setting or something that people would normally do. So, but the concert was amazing. So many people came and enjoyed, and I couldn't thank my friend Colin Ray enough for coming out here and supporting this campaign. Now, another housekeeping item. As you know, the last couple weeks we've been collecting signatures because we had to collect 1,000 signatures for me to be on the ballot in November as an independent. It's a requirement by the legislature, and it's administered by the Secretary of State. Now, several people, actually some people who had tried this and been very connected with political things as they may, didn't think that we could do it in the short period of time that we had to do it. And we went to work, we sent messages out to everybody, all our volunteers and subscribers and so forth. And next thing we know, all over the state, people are collecting petitions, and they're doing it correctly. And then they're getting us those petitions, and we're getting verified with the county clerk. And it's happening, and people are just basically doing it on their own because we give them the right information all over. So we ended up collecting thousands of signatures, and we met the mark quite easily, actually quickly. It wasn't easy, but because it was distributed, the work was distributed, we were able to do it. And I just can't thank you enough and say enough about that. That people would go out on their own, collect signatures, whether it was just a handful or whether it was, I think one person brought in like 37 pages of petitions. And just very, very grateful for that. And I want to express that. And so we're going to take those signatures in on Thursday, this coming Thursday. We have to go to the Capitol building, to the Secretary of State's office, and we are going to turn them in, and I will be declared as an official independent candidate for governor in Idaho to be on the ballot in November. So, and boy, do we got a lot of fun things that are going to happen between now and November. Believe me, we're going to truly, truly fight and give people a choice in Idaho of a choice of a true liberty-minded candidate, liberty-minded governor's candidate. And it's going to be fun. So, all right, thank you. I can see your chat here. People seem to be excited about that. Yes, Alicia brought in 37 pages. Thank you so much, and for everybody. It was you that did it. I went out and got my handful, and but it was amazing that people went out and did their part. And that's the way this campaign is going to be. And that's actually what's going to make us successful. That's the difference between, tyrants and politicians and us. We will work together in one direction and unify the conservative voice of Idaho, and we can win this election. We're going to talk about it even further. So now, I'm going to go down through a little bit of a history here of the campaign. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but let's go down through this. And because on May, if you remember, May 21st, 2020, I don't know if this is going up. I think I have a failure here. Diego. Okay, there we go. Sorry. No problem. Let's see. Okay, you can see me now. Thank you. Going to the next page. There we go. Nope, something's happening, Diego. Oh, it's just in my teleprompter. I can improvise. So on, let's see, I got to look at the screen though. You see that, how my teleprompter went out?
It's just the next thing up. You're playing a video next.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Diego had to remind me again what's going on. Okay. That wasn't a mistake. That was actually the way it is because I have a video coming up. So on May 21st, 2020, you think I'd get used to this by now, but there's a lot going on here, and I only do it once a month. And so anyway, forgive me of my imperfections here. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. So May 21st, 2021, I filed election paperwork with the Idaho Secretary of State. And you would have thought that all the media and all the establishment would lost their minds. In fact, let's go through some of these records here. Play this video. And then Tom Luna, so after the media went crazy, we got international attention, hundreds of articles about me just filing paperwork. Then Tom Luna, the chairman of the Republican Party, comes out with a full-page press release and distributes all among the Republican Party, saying that I'm not welcome. That pretty much anybody in Idaho is welcome in the Republican Party, but me. I responded that it would appear that the Idaho Republican Party establishment is taking me serious, as they should. I simply fill out a half-page form with the Secretary of State, and they lose their minds, have an emergency meeting, and publish a statewide full-page official letter against me. I never planned on their support in the first place, so no sweat off my back. And then I announced that in June 19th, I was going to make a big announcement. And that's what this big announcement looked like here. Idaho, to me, represents the best of what America was. Idaho was a conservative state with traditional family values, full of people of faith who carried guns, loved the Constitution, helped each other, and built businesses by the sweat of their own brow. Idaho is sliding down the path and ceasing to be the Idaho that we love. I don't want that to happen. And so I'm announcing now that I will be running as governor for the great state of Idaho. As governor, I will be implementing a plan and a platform to keep Idaho, Idaho. The Keep Idaho, Idaho plan will improve life, bring prosperity, empower and protect families, and secure the opportunity for happiness to every person living within the beautiful state of Idaho. I know how to win. My record and history demonstrates that I am willing to fight to the very end. Now it's your choice. May God bless the people of Idaho. May we live up to these blessings. May we keep Idaho a bastion of freedom and prosperity for years to come. May we be an example to the world of how to be free, of how to act, how to treat each other. And together, all of us together, may we keep Idaho, Idaho. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. So we fed people Bundy beef, made sure everybody got full. It was nice and hot. It was the middle of June. We had about 700 people, a little over 700 people that was there. But my big announcement was not that I was running for governor. That was pretty obvious, and everybody pretty much knew about it. My big announcement was that I was implementing a Keep Idaho Idaho plan. That was my big announcement, that I had a plan to keep Idaho Idaho, and I wanted people to know about it. So with that being said, I want to go into the Keep Idaho Idaho plan. And I have to do it here on the computer. So you're not going to be able to see me. You'll hear me talk, but you're not going to be able to see me. Yes. And so I'm going to direct you to it as well, because everybody should be able to go to the Keep Idaho Idaho plan, share it with their neighbors, talk about it, and defend my campaign and what Idaho needs to do based upon the Keep Idaho Idaho plan. So here's the home page at votebundy.com, right? And we're going to go over to, or we're going to scroll down here, and you'll see right here, click here to go to my Keep Idaho IDAHO plan. Now, if you want to just digitally go there, then, let's see, did I click it? Sorry. Okay, so here we are. Now you can go here and you could there's drop downs and you could read it. There's 5 sections, and it's very easy. You could, of course, copy the link right here, send it to your friends through text or whatever. But also you can go and click on the download, and you could actually see what's going on here and read it here. This is a nicer version. You could print it off in color, give it to your friends if you want. We will also be printing more of these. But let's talk about it, because this was the big announcement. And this is one of the things that we need to be really pushing in the campaign. Table of contents, and then we get into the introduction, which I would definitely recommend that you share with your friends as well, or get them to read that. Okay, section 1, ending immoral taxation. Yes, we have a tremendous amount of immoral taxation here in Idaho and across the country. One of them is eliminating, or is property tax, and I plan to eliminate that. I plan on eliminating personal income tax. Plan on eliminating personal property tax of businesses. And there's details in there about why these things need to be eliminated and how they are destructive to our liberties. It is very important that we understand. And then that also, taxes collected through a consumption is the only moral way to collect tax. So that is in there, and use it. You can also go to virtual town halls, or to some of my town halls I've done with videos, and I talk in detail more about these topics. Okay, so now back to the Keep Idaho IDAHO plan, or to the page here. So now we scroll down, we get through the first section, which is ending immoral taxation. Get into the next section here, section 2, economic growth plan, taking back Idaho's land. Now, I've talked to you about this in some detail, and I want to reemphasize that there is no way that a state can be independent if 61% of their land is being controlled by another government. There just absolutely is no way. And it's being kept out of the people's hands so that they cannot profit or benefit from it in any way. Now, if we look here, I'm going to scroll through this, get to where I need to. You'll see here that federal land control has several causes and effects. Controlling our natural resources so we can't pay our own bills is one of them. Idaho depends on about a third, if you look here, right here, about a third of our budget comes from the federal government. That means it's actually over a third of our budget comes from the federal government. And it has made it so that we, because of the federal land control, that we are dependent on the federal government to actually pay our own bills. And let me give you the breakdown of that. So, for example, we have the largest cobalt deposits in Idaho, or in the United States. We have that in Idaho here. So we're very rich in cobalt. And cobalt is a very valuable mineral that is desirable across the world right now because of primarily batteries and other reasons. And Idaho has the largest deposits in the United States. However, the federal government controls that. They control this because it's part of the 61% that they say belongs to them. And so what's happening right now is the federal government won't let us use it here in Idaho, and they contract with an Australian company, a mining company, Australian mining company, that brings their employees and brings everybody up into the Idaho here, and they began to, make a large operation and start to mine cobalt and sell it on a world market. And then they give money to the federal government, and it's a handsome amount to the federal government for every ounce that they mine out of the Idaho's ground. And then they sell it and they make a bunch of money. The Australian company makes a bunch of money. The federal government makes a bunch of money. And guess who makes nothing? Well, Idaho. Idaho, the people of Idaho get nothing for that. Very, very little. Yeah, they might sell some products, a few little things. They don't even get that many jobs out of it. They don't get hardly anything out of it. And so therefore, because our natural resources are being taken from us by the federal government, and the federal government is selling that to a Australian company and making lots of money on that, and the Australian company's making a bunch of money on that. Now Idahoans don't get anything, so what do we have to do? We have to go to the federal government and beg to pay our own bills. And we have become dependent on them. Almost 37%, 36.5% is what we have to have in order to pay our own bills. Well, you can see how the problem should be solved. We shouldn't be begging for money from the federal government. We should be able to go and make that money and profit. The people of Idaho and the taxes that it would generate should profit more than enough revenue. I mean, a lot more revenue than the federal government's giving us. And I've got a lot of evidence of that too. And then we could be independent. Now, the thing that this also causes is that this money is not given to us for free. It comes with strings attached to it. Strings like the mandates that we've suffered with the last couple years, and many, many other things. And I could go into detail, but you can see how it just simply, we are not going to be able to be independent in Idaho unless we take back our lands. And so the Keep Idaho IDAHO plan really pushes that and really emphasizes on the need for us to take back our lands and to become independent. Now, also, we have, with the federal land control cause and effect, it also is causing us to be landlocked. And we're landlocked to the point where our affordable housing is non-existent, and we have an affordable housing crisis. Why? Again, because the federal government is controlling 61% of our land, and we're landlocked, and so our supply is very limited. Also, as I just spoke about, our natural resources are being restricted from us, so we are not able to build our homes for less money. Our timber is coming from Canada. The environmentalists won't let us cut our own timber and our own forests, so they burn up. Our minerals, they won't let us extract, so we're not able to build parts and pieces that we need for housing. And the housing cost goes way, way high. So we have an affordable housing crisis that's caused because of this federal government issue that I've been talking about. Now, third, we're building on agricultural land, and it's destroying our number one industry. Because the land that we do have, the land that we do have available to us that's not federal controlled is, again, let's look in the white here. That's private land, and that is the most agricultural land in the state of Idaho. That's why it was developed as private land. And then after the federal government came in and claimed the other land, it wasn't the other way around. And that's why the white is all agriculture. And we, because the federal government won't let us build on the red land, we're now building on the white, and we are destroying our number one industry here in Idaho. And I mean, does that make sense? Idaho is agriculture land. I mean, that's who we are, and we're destroying that industry. Now, last but not least, we are creating dense populated cities and causing people to lose their conservative identity and vote liberal. That's what happens. So these are all the effects, causes and effects of federal land control, and why my Keep Idaho IDAHO plan is so adamant, and so it is so necessary to take back our lands from the federal government. And I intend on fighting this fight for Idaho and for our independence and for our future and for our children's future. And if we don't do that, Idaho will never be what it was intended to be, and it'll never be the place we want it to be. It'll never be a refuge for us and for our children and a refuge for freedom. Okay, coming down here, part of the economic, growth plan. We're talking about solving the affordable housing crisis, health, freedom, body autonomy. Imagine opening up just health freedom in Idaho, like allowing the doctors to do their job, allowing the patients, the customers, the patients to decide how they want to take care of their body with their doctor, and just taking off a tremendous amount of this regulation that is on the medical field, and it's all mostly there for money. Pharmaceuticals, I mean, I don't need to go into that, but imagine the state protecting the possibility of actually using, different methods to heal cancer, to heal the other things that we know are proven that work in other countries, but that the federal government and the state governments won't allow because there's no way for them to make the money that they would under the current circumstances, or that they are under the current circumstances. So freeing us up that way, making Idaho a financial freedom state. Again, freeing up the financial freedoms in Idaho. We have countries that do this. We have countries that even in areas that have created a free trade zone. And that's what we want Idaho to become. We want Idaho to become a free trade zone. We want people's money to be protected here, to be secure. We don't want it so that the government can only could just push a couple buttons and steal your entire life savings out of your bank account. We need much more protection, and if we do that, people will bring their money to Idaho, and we will have a tremendous amount of opportunities, because when there's money in an area, then now you can start borrowing and investing in businesses and all of that, and it creates this massive availability for funds to invest, to build, to create industry, and I'm talking about on the people's level, not on the government's level. Moving on through the Keep Idaho IDAHO plan, exalting, let's not forget this, recognizing and accepting prominent cryptocurrencies by the state. I love that. Exalting justice. This is something that I know quite a bit about, and I'm passionate about, but it's not just because of what happened to me and my family. I have learned and know very clearly that if you don't have justice, you can't have peace. And if you don't have justice, you can't have prosperity. And if you don't have justice, you can't have families. It's very difficult to worship and have faith and many other things. And what is justice? Justice is making the wrong right. And our justice system right now in Idaho and across the country is not about making the wrong right. It's about making the government money. And everything has been changed and manipulated, and the systems and process and our process that we would normally call due process has become all about making the government as much money as they can possibly make off of that. And it might be the Bureau of Prisons, it might be the Idaho, the prosecutor's office, it might be the courts. It doesn't matter what it is. They're making a ton of money off of it, and it has nothing to do with making the wrong right. So we have to come to the reality that we need to restore our laws that have been lost, our processes that built our country and made it so good. And those were restitution and restoration laws. And we need to go back to that, because Idaho, as you'll see in the Keep Idaho IDAHO plan, Idaho, the United States incarcerates more people in our country than anywhere else in the world by 3 times. But then Idaho incarcerates more people than any other state in the United States. So Idaho incarcerates more people per capita than any other people in the in the world. And that is an issue because we must reject carceration-based penal systems. They don't work. Only wicked societies have implemented them because carceration-based penal systems basically cause more crime, and they cost a tremendous amount of money. And what works is a restitution-based penal system where the perpetrator pays back the victim, and the law requires the perpetrator to pay back the damages to the victim. Now both are whole, and one has been rehabilitated and the victim has been restored. That's what the early founders understood and implemented as our justice system. That's what any righteous civilization has done since all the way back from the beginning of history that we find in Genesis, all the way through the books of Moses, into the times of the Magna Carta, and then of course down into our founding fathers. Any righteous nation or people rejected the idea of long-term incarceration, an incarceration-based system, and they always implemented a restitution-based system. And we must do that. We must do that, or we destroy justice. And without justice, you don't have much in your country or in your nation. Now, let's get going through here. So, empowering communities to end drug abuse. I'm sorry to say, but government is not going to ever end drug abuse through force. It will be done through families, communities, churches, empowering them and preventing it before it even becomes a major problem, and then being able to deal with it if in the rare case it does. Here's the incarceration rates you'll see moving down. Now, I love this one because people want to call me anti-police, and that couldn't be further from the truth, and we've corrected a lot of that narrative, but they're still out there. My enemies and my political enemies are still out there saying, well, I'm anti-police because somehow, I mean, I don't get how I'm anti-police. I've never ever done anything aggressive to a police officer. In many cases I've been falsely arrested. I've been, prosecuted. I spent, many days in solitary confinement. I've been abused in many ways, and my family has also, but I forgive all those who did that to me. And yes, it was law enforcement, but that doesn't mean I hate them. And in fact, the only way that I was able to survive through solitary confinement was by forgiving them as soon as I possibly could, because I couldn't, if you'd harbor hateful feelings in solitary confinement in those conditions, it will destroy you. But mostly I just wanted to forgive them. I look at them as my brothers and sisters. I knew that they were doing something to me that was unjust and wrong, but I had to forgive them. So this idea that I hate law enforcement is just a lie. And I want to say to all those out there that are officers of the law that I do love you and that I honor you. I honor you when you honor your oath. And your oath was taken to the Constitution of the United States and to the Idaho Constitution. And when you uphold that and defend the rights of the people of Idaho or the people of this country, I honor you. I want to honor you. Now, so what I intend on doing in part of my Keep Idaho Idaho plan, and this has been in there from the beginning, is we are going to empower police to act according to their conscience. How do we do that? Well, we do that by, as a governor and through some of the resources of the state, we protect the officers when they uphold their oath, when they say, I did this because I know that I took an oath to it, or that I will not do this. So for example, let's say a superior officer tells them that they have to go arrest somebody for going to church. And the officer who gets those orders, or maybe officers or officer, says, no, that is against the Constitution. I took an oath to the Constitution. I will not violate that oath. Now the superior wants to reprimand or discipline the officer for not obeying their order. Well, the officer could then appeal to the state, even to the office of the governor if necessary. And the state will come in, look at the situation, and if he was upholding his oath of office, the state will use the resources, even legal resources, to defend and protect that officer. Now imagine what that creates. That creates now a system in which an officer can truly be empowered to act according to his conscience. So now these good officers out there that are afraid of losing their jobs can actually say no because they have a resource. They know the governor will back them. And that, my friends, is action. It's not just lip service. And that's why I say that I am as governor, I will be the most pro law enforcement officer across the state, probably in the world, because I will back officers when they uphold their oath of office here in Idaho. I will do it politically, I will do it legally, and I will even do it physically if necessary. And that's my oath and my words to the officers across Idaho. And I want to thank you for those who uphold their office. I want to thank you and say that I'm grateful for you and for your efforts to help people in their situations and to help us be safe, and the things that you do good that uphold your office. All right, now moving on here, Keep Idaho IDAHO plan. Let's see, ending cronyism and corruption. There's quite a bit of that. We've seen that. Governor Little's received $18.7 billion, and he took it to his office, and him and his buddies decided that they were going to spend it by themselves. And they have done that without any legislative oversight. They have broken the laws of Idaho, and they have done it for money, and they have been very deceptive in it. And they have lined the pockets of all those people that give them power and that will continue to give him support and power through this next election. And you'll see it. He'll end up with probably $4 or $5 million for his war chest to be able to run this campaign. Now, social prosperity. Let's get to that. I intend, as I've said many times before, that I will issue an executive order on day one to declare that life begins at conception. And this will end abortion in Idaho, and we'll go into a legal battle. We'll go into needed legislation. But I refuse to be a governor in a state that is killing our most innocent little babies. I refuse that. And by issuing the executive order that life begins at conception, then that will require the state to use its resources to protect that life, as we should be. We should be protecting that life from the very beginning, which is conception. So I will not give lip service to that. I will do it. Now, I will also, under the social prosperity, I've talked about education freedom, freeing up the schools to be able to teach the curriculums and not be held under federal or state curriculums, but also the accountability coming from the parents and the school boards, from the people. Parents will control the money, the school board will control the curriculums and how that money is spent inside that district, and it will create a free market system that in the public schools that actually might get our children, some of our children who are in that system, educated. And those who choose not to put their children in that system, who choose to educate their children themselves, then they will be protected in that right, because ultimately it is the right of the parents to educate their children. Then that right didn't come from government. That right came from God, the creator of us and this world. And that right should not be denied or disparaged. Talking about teachers, talking about gun rights and defense of the Second Amendment. I hope there's no question there about my position on that. The Second Amendment does say shall not be infringed. It also makes it very clear that a well-regulated militia is necessary for the security of a free state. Second Amendment. Idaho State Healthcare Exchange, getting rid of that. What a terrible thing that was. Brought in by our good old boy establishment Republican Party, establishment Republican people. Talked about parental rights, ending welfare. Let me just hit on this a little bit because there's some statistics here that I think you might want to look at. If you see here, this is Idaho's revenue. This is how Idaho spends its money. This is in 2020. This is not my graph. This is the state's graph. And you'll see here that almost 40% of Idaho's expenses went to welfare, human and health services. What do I say? That's just the opposite of what we should be doing. We have 40% of our expenses going to welfare, human and health services, and that is not the state's responsibility. And yet it's one of our largest expenses here in Idaho. And we need to minimize that, even eliminate it, because it is not the state's duty to take care of people. That is the duty of an individual first, and then their family. And if they can't do it for whatever reason temporarily, that should be the churches and their neighbors voluntarily through charity, not through welfare, through charity, helping people out. It is not the duty of the state. And I know we've got so many people dependent that this alone could cause me to lose an election, just saying these things. But my friends, you have, if you're on welfare, if you're not making the money or providing for yourself, you have to free yourself from this. And Idaho must help. And as a governor, I will slash this, and it'll almost be down to nothing. And I know that puts a lot of fear in people because they have to stand on their own, or they have to rely on their loved ones. But it is not proper, because where does this money come from? Where does it come from? Tell me in the chat where this money comes from. Right here. Health and Human Services. Where does it come from? I think it's pretty obvious. It comes from us. Our taxes. It's stolen from us. Yeah, printed for free by the feds. Yeah, Wade said that. Yeah, from the feds. A lot of it, I just showed you how a third of our budget comes from the feds. So imagine cutting that out, and then no longer you're dependent on the feds. And then we get back our land and resources, and now we got all this revenue coming in to people's homes and to their families. And the state gets a little piece of that to protect you in that. And that's the way it should be run. It shouldn't be the other way around, where we have to beg money from the federal government and then we give almost 40% of that to welfare, because it comes, all this money comes by the barrel of the gun. It is forcibly taken away from people through taxes and then redistributed to other people. And so every time you take something for free, or you take a program from the government, you just caused your neighbors to give up their wealth, to give up the fruits of their labor. And it's not the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to live by the sweat of our own brow and not by the sweat of our neighbor's brow. So ending welfare is an important part of the Keep Idaho IDAHO plan. Section 5, maximizing government efficiency, elimination of state licensures. Again, creating Idaho into a free trade zone. Getting rid of the regulations so that we can begin trading with each other in the ways that we want to. And as long as we're not infringing upon somebody else's rights, we should be able to freely trade. And there is no need for it. I can go into very much detail and talk to you about how licensing is just the state's way of creating more bureaucracies so that they can create more jobs and so that they can have more money. changing the culture of government. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to actually, and I'm not saying that all agencies are like this, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to, have our bureaucracies and our officials accountable to us and actually nice to us, and realizing that we're their boss and that they're not our boss? Wouldn't that be nice? Using blockchain technology for state interactions, just for security. So that's the Keep Idaho Idaho plan. I showed you how you get to it. Again, go to votebundy.com right here. votebundy.com. Oh, I got to get back to here. And then you click on the Keep Idaho Idaho plan, which is right over here. And you can get into this. And then if you want to download this version of it, or actually print it off, you can have it for yourself, pass it to your neighbors, and use it all you want. It's free to download, free to print. Okay. Now, let me get out of this laptop view here and get back to our presentation. Okay, so I gotta get in this. All right. All right, I had to find myself. So if we as a campaign have, again, since pretty much June 19th, been running hard. We have been, teaching the Keep Idaho Idaho plan and the principles that it espouses all over Idaho. We've met with hundreds of people, and we know the success formula is simply just get in front of people. Our success formula is meet and talk with as many Idahoans as possible, and we have done that. If you followed our schedule, almost every night we're meeting with Idahoans all over the state in meet and greets, town halls, convocations, Keep Idaho Idaho rallies, parades, fairs, events. We have been very busy. We've got in that RV, and I think I've put over 18,000 miles on it now in just the short period of time that I've owned it, and driven all over Idaho many, many times, meeting with people. And it's been a great pleasure to do that. And I want you to watch this video of some of the things that we've done, and it's basically a tribute to you, the people of Idaho. And then we're going to talk about our plans moving forward, and get ready to, because I want to talk to you, so get ready to raise your hand and then chat, and then we'll bring you in, because the rest of this time pretty much is going to be to you answering questions. So watch this video. We have been very busy and have met with, thousands of people across Idaho, and I am inspired by the people of Idaho. I'm inspired by you. And so thank you for your love and for your support. And just want to emphasize that our success formula is working. The last numbers we ran on this, the polls we ran between June and November, we have increased our support by 23%. That is significant, and we have every reason to believe that it's even greater now. We believe that we will continue to do that. I want to get into a little bit of nitty-gritty and then answer your questions here. So here's the voter demographics in Idaho. Kind of get an idea. There's 511, a little over 1,000 Republicans. There's 133,000 Democrats. There's a little over 10,000 Libertarians, almost 4,000 Constitutional Party, and then there's almost 310 unaffiliated voters, totaling 968,000 voters in Idaho. Now, as you know, I'm running as independent, and what does that mean? Well, that means that I'm the people's candidate. And our goal here is to unite all liberty-minded people of all parties, if any, under one governor candidate. Now, just some facts, just over 50% of Republicans in Idaho are not happy with the Republican establishment. Brad Little, Tom Luna, Chairman Tom Luna, Scott Bedke. And, I don't need to go into why they're not happy with them, but the Republican Party establishment, not everybody in the Republican Party, not even all the leaders, but the establishment there has done a terrible job and actually destroyed the rights of the people of Idaho rather than protect them. So 50% of the Republicans in Idaho are disgruntled by their own party leaders. So 309, almost 310,000 unaffiliated registered voters in Idaho. Well, they don't want to be part of the Republican or the Democrat Party. We've got about 14,000 constitutional libertarian registered voters. I think we'll get a bunch of them. I think we'll get a lot of them to support me as a candidate. Approximately 95,000, just shy of 95,000 people with conservative views moved into Idaho in the last 2 years. And most of them want to keep Idaho, Idaho. Now, these aren't all the people that have moved into California, but these are the amount that statistics show that are conservatives that have moved in here over the last couple of years, and they are ultra concerned about Idaho becoming an Oregon or a California. So they're willing to fight and stand up and vote and participate, put their money where their mouth is, and we've seen this all over Idaho. Now, this is an interesting statistics. Approximately 40+% of voters in Idaho have not decided who they're going to vote for as governor in November. So with all of these together, 50% of Republicans not happy with their party, 310 unaffiliated registered voters, constitutional libertarian registered voters, almost 95,000 conservative voters that have moved in here. Most of them will probably vote. And then 40% have not decided who they're going to vote for. Well, you can see we have a great opportunity. We have a tremendous opportunity in Idaho. And so all we have to do is take it. Work together, unify, continue to do what we're doing, and really, really overpower the establishment in here in Idaho that's taken power for almost 4 decades now. So what is our plan of action? Well, our plan of action is to assign, and so these are just some real practical things that I'm going to go down through just to kind of see where you might fit in, like what is your role in here in this and how you might pitch in. We're going to continue to assign and activate county chairpersons in each county. They'll have responsibilities, to, as we have seen happening all over the state, but they'll have responsibilities in their county to get signage, to, unite people, to get, to put up booths and find all kinds of ways to promote the campaign. It has to happen in each county with people there willing to do that. develop media funnels, video, radio, TV, so on, so meeting and educating people all over Idaho. We've been doing that a lot. We're going to continue to do that with meet and greets, town halls, convocations, Keep Idaho Idaho rallies, obtain state and national endorsements. We've done that. We actually have some others that are coming that we're excited about. Encourage people to support the campaign in 3 ways. One, to donate monthly, $200 to $220 a month. You know, it's just what you can, because we know that with the support we have, if people would contribute even just $20 and people would actually do that across the support that we have, that we would be able to fund this campaign and be able to create media and distribute media without breaking our personal bank accounts or putting our families into a situation where we can't pay our own bills. And we'll be able to really challenge Governor Little in the generals. And even though he's going to outspend us probably 4 to 1, maybe not that much, but that's what it looks like. We'll be able to do that because we have funding and we're more effective. Also, one of the reasons we'll be able to challenge that funding that he has with ours is because all of you will be out there talking to their friends and family and neighbors, getting them to come to an event and understand what the Keep Idaho Idaho plan is. Also, you'll be disseminating campaign media to all your contacts and beating the big tech censorship. So you can see, with donations monthly, not a lot, but every month, and enough of you donating that we get funding, and then talking to your friends and defending the Keep Idaho Idaho plan and educating them and getting them to come to events. And then every time we send you something out, like a video, like we'll be sending that video out that we just showed you about us traveling all over Idaho, we'll send that out. Well, then you could take that and send it to all your contacts and all your friends. And now we've beat YouTube censoring, Facebook censoring, Twitter censoring, all of that. We beat that because we sent it to you and you sent it out. And it would only take a couple times. So let's say, a couple multiplications where we would reach, 500,000, even up to 1 million. It would only take a few multiplications where everybody's sending that out, then they're sending it out to be able to really have a far reach here in Idaho. So that's the plan of action. Here's just an outline of the chairperson's activities. I'm not going into that. I want to save our time to talk. I just want to say this, that the only thing holding us back from winning is a lack of action. There is nothing more liberating than defying fear to act. So this is my little sister here. This is my little sister when she was, I don't know, she's not even 2 years old. And that was a great big bull named Stripe. And he weighed, I don't know, he was pushing like 3,000 pounds. He was a huge bull. And then you can see right here where she's just feeding him. She's not afraid of him. She could have been, and most people might have been, but she overcame her fear of that. And that is really the only problem we have, is just simply having fear. Fear of talking to our friends, fear of opening our mouth, fear of, donating to the campaign, fear of not sending the videos and information around. If we can overcome that, work together, there's nothing that'll stop us from winning this campaign and from securing freedom. And I've said many, many times that Idaho must become a refuge. There is a huge possibility that we could lose freedom, and lose freedom across this country, lose freedom across the world. And Idaho needs to be that refuge. Other states may also be a refuge, but I know for certain that Idaho must be a refuge. So let's talk. Who do we got here? waiting. I know you've been waiting for a while. Okay, Tim Taylor's coming up, and I'm
Yes.
excited about your question. Let me get here. How do we? Okay, looks like you're up here. Go ahead. Can you hear me, Tim? Tim, it looks like your internet froze, and so do we
Very
have
good.
somebody else? Okay,
I'd like to ask my question. I'm here. Can you hear
okay,
me?
go ahead, Tim. I can hear you now. Yep.
Yes. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for being the candidate that you are and for your personal and family sacrifices. We're glad that somebody's going to stand up for and revere the Constitution as well as our state constitution. And I appreciate that very much, sir.
Thank you.
My
Far from
question,
perfect, but I appreciate you saying that.
my question is, I think you've got a good plan here to run as the independent candidate. My question, though, is what if someone comes from the wings, somebody who is maybe well-known in Idaho, and they decide also to run as an independent? What is your plan as far as that?
Well, if they're going to decide, then they have to decide within a couple days, and they have to gather 1,000 signatures by March 11th. So that is Friday, because that's the deadline. So I don't know of anybody else that is doing that. I don't believe I've heard or know of anybody else that's collecting signatures as an independent to be on the ballot in November as governor. So unless I'm unaware of somebody doing that, I will be the only independent candidate for governor on the ballot in November.
Follow-up question then. So for a person to run as the independent, regardless of whether they've been an independent or declared themselves independent before, they still have to get 1,000 signatures in order to run as an independent, even if they're on the ballot next to you?
In order to be on the ballot, you have to get 1,000 signatures, verified signatures, and turn them into the Secretary of State before March 11th. So yes, did that answer your second question? Okay, hopefully that answers your second question. And so as of right now, it looks like no one else is going to be running as an independent and has collected the signatures necessary to run as an independent and be on the ballot as an independent in November. So who else do we have here? Leslie, you've got the floor. Go ahead.
It's me. Hi, Ammon.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I actually met you at Malheur back in 2016, and I've been following you ever since. So God's doing a lot of great things.
Thank you.
Here's
I
my
love
question.
your hat too. I love your hat.
Oh, yeah. Okay, the question, or actually it's a comment and then a question. So we currently have a homeless person that's occupying an empty lot across from our cabin in Wallace, Idaho. And he has amassed a huge junk pile that he's living in, and it recently caught fire, and he's also using the stream as a toilet. And I've contacted the sheriff, and the sheriff is kind of feckless. He hasn't really done anything. He's just kind of visited the gentleman. I've talked to the gentleman personally, but I just wondered, as governor, what can you do about the homeless situation that seems to be increasing?
Okay, so are you asking about like what you should do about this situation where on private property there is somebody loitering, or are you asking about like the general question of what are we going to do about homelessness and those challenges in Idaho?
Well,
I see those as two questions. Can you just define what you're exactly asking about?
Well, I'd like to know about my
more.
situation, specifically, what you might suggest, and also about the homeless situation in general.
Yeah. So, and you've had conversations with him and asked him to leave, and made sure he understood that you were the owner and so forth.
We don't own the property, but he's just squatting on property that's across from our property. There's just a giant pile of junk
Uh-huh.
that's just sitting there. And I would like to do something ethically to have him removed, not just, you know what I mean? I mean, I care about
Is
the
it,
person.
yeah, is it private property, you know? Is it somebody's private property, or is it
It's private property, but
federal?
it's
Right.
not his private property.
Well, then, I mean, you're going to have to go talk to those property owners who own it and see if they will, you know, ask him to leave and to go through that process. And then if you know,
Okay.
somehow you would have to, you know, if in some way he's in damaging your rights in some way, I don't know how that is, but it might be a possibility. Then you would have some standing to, you know, correct that problem. But if he's on somebody else's property, then you need to talk to that property owner and explain to him your concern and why you feel that it's not a good thing for him to be there. Now, as you may know, I have you know, addressed the homeless situation in Idaho quite a bit. And it is a concern, but one thing that I want to make sure that everybody knows, that in Idaho, especially in the Boise area where most of the homeless people are at, there is a warm bed and warm food for them available that is not paid for by government. And so there is a place for them to go to get warm. There's a place for them to get meals. It is all privately funded through the Boise Rescue Mission and others because of the great charity that the people of Idaho have. So there is not a concern in Idaho for homelessness other than people choosing on their own to be on the street, or maybe we have some, you know, mental challenges with people that, you know, need help getting to those facilities, which a lot of our officers do that. And so just know that we have good private means that doesn't take public funding to take care of our homeless. And we also need to be aware that right now we're encouraging homelessness in Idaho. Governor Little is encouraging homelessness. He's increasing food stamps. Idaho has increased its food stamps program more than any other state in the United States over the last 4 years. 24.4%, almost 24.5%. And also, he's taken a bunch of this COVID money and is designating it for government housing, $200 million, along with paraphernalia programs where people can go get free drug paraphernalia to do their drugs safely, all here in Idaho. And all that does is it causes dependency, and it causes crime, homelessness, and destruction of what we are here in Idaho. Okay, thank you. Hopefully that answers your question enough.
Thank you, Ammon.
Let's go to the next question. Who we got? Sean, go ahead.
Hi, Ammon.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, thanks for this. This is awesome. I'm glad you're running as independent. Wasn't too sure at first, but anybody who thinks that through, I think it's brilliant. So quick question. Your name is not going to appear on the ballot anywhere May 17th, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
I am not, as independent, I am not affiliated with any party. I am
Right.
a true independent, and so therefore I will not be on the ballot anywhere in May. I will not be on the ballot until November.
Yeah. Okay. So now my question is, I guess, kind of two parts to that. So people have seen, you know, that you're running and so forth. And so half the people who go to vote are just going to be confused. They're going to pull it up and say, oh, Ammon wasn't on the ballot. He must have dropped out, or what happened. So what is our message, or what are we going to do? Do we have any strategy around the primary? I mean, everybody's thinking of voting and the governor and all these races. Is there some sort of message or strategy for you? And then is there anything you'd like to say about other races, candidates? Obviously, we don't want you as governor and then have these other, pardon me, but losers in there you're trying to work with. And it's probably hard for you to speak to particular people or races, but just any thoughts about us as your supporters?
Okay, so yes, great question. We do want people to be aware of, you know, things right off the bat. We believe they're going to go into the conservatives are going to go into the primary with a lot of hope. We believe they're going to come out of the primaries and be going, oh my goodness, where is our conservative candidate? We are going to have a press conference probably that night, May 17th. And then we're also thinking about having a rally the following Saturday. I think that ends up being like the 21st or something. Again, so people will be like, oh, okay, we don't have our conservative candidate in the race anymore. They were wiped out by the establishment. But now here's Ammon, and this is what his message is, and we really will rally people in that effort, and we'll do it immediately around the time of the primaries. And so again, and then of course between now and then, all of you out there explaining what the situation is, how I am running as an independent, and I will not be in the primary, but I will challenge the establishment candidate in the generals. And one of the beauty of what we're doing is our success formula is working, and now we have another 8 months to continue it, to continue to travel Idaho, continue to meet with people, and to continue to educate people on principles and also who I am. So great question.
Great. Thanks, Ammon.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, who do we have next? Okay, I got a question here in the chat. It says, just wanted to know if Ammon will sign the Abortion Human Rights Act sponsored by Heather Scott. The answer is, I don't know. It sounds really great. I have a lot of respect for Heather Scott. She's been a fighter, so I would think that I would. I really would need to read that, and will take the time to read that and understand it. Because one thing that I would need to make sure is that it is a true abortion bill, not a heartbeat bill, not one of these bills that make it so that we can continue abortion in Idaho, but we give it virtue signaling. That is a true bill that ends abortion, because this does have to be legislated. The executive order will be challenged, and we need the legislature to back it up, and then we fight these issues on states' rights basis rather than Roe versus Wade. So, okay, another question in the chat is, how do we get our land back from the federal government? All right, so I have covered this in extensive detail in I believe, my January town hall. So I want you to go there and watch it. But basically, the state has power to appropriate lands. The states and the counties have power to appropriate land. All the red land that I showed you in the Keep Idaho IDAHO plan, those red lands are federally controlled, and they're unappropriated lands. And the state has the power to appropriate those lands. They're being held unconstitutionally by the federal government. And so we plan on using that authority and appropriating those lands. We'll take a large amount of it. Remember, we're talking about 33 million acres. A good amount of that we will turn into what we call multiple use lands to protect our rights to hunt, fish, hike, camp, fish, all of that. And also so that we can use it for, timber, grazing, mining, all of that, multiple use land. And then the land around our towns and our cities will open it up for development and to be disposed of to individuals' hands, not corporations, not Bill Gates, not the Chinese government, to individuals' lands through a fair disposal mechanism, one like we've seen in the past that developed this country. We have great disposal mechanisms. So that is how we will do that. I know that seems very simple, and I do simplify it for the reason of understanding, and that's what we'll do. Okay, so it looks like we need to wrap this up. I just want to say thank you again for all that you have been doing. We have to continue to do it. This is an ongoing thing that we do, daily. And that, whether it's contributions to the campaign, whether it's sending out the information that we're sending to you, to disseminate that all over to your contacts, whether it's volunteering for the campaign, to help in your counties and in your towns and cities, or just talking to your friends and getting them to come to an event and battling out there for me and for this effort. I want to thank you for that, and just finish off with this video that you've seen before, and but that I think you'll appreciate. And again, thank you for your time, and we'll be back here, we believe, next month like we always have. And until then, I love and appreciate you.
He overcame the danger to fight for what's right, preserving the Constitution so we can live our lives. Freedom.
In early of 2015, my family and I moved to Idaho. We did not know what the Lord had in store for us, but we had hoped that it was a life of peace and tranquility in a beautiful little town with wonderful neighbors. And then 2020 came around. The governor of Idaho, Brad Little, forcing innocent people to lock down in their homes, threatening force if they go to church. I don't want that to happen. I want Idaho to remain Idaho, free, because we need Idaho to be free. We need to have at least one state in this country that is an example of safeguarding American principles and liberty. There is only one elected position that can peacefully turn the totalitarian direction of the state around. That position is governor. If the people will get behind a governor that will not compromise, a governor who will not yield, a governor who has been through the fire and knows how to win, then through that position, the house of government can be cleansed and the purpose of the state can be restored. For this reason, I am running for governor. So today, I will repent of my refusal to vote. I ask you to give it one more chance with me. And together, let's keep Idaho, Idaho. Together, with the strength of the Lord, I believe we can keep Idaho free. Thank you very much.
He overcame the danger to fight for what's right, preserving the Constitution so we can live our lives. Freedom is just a word unless you stand up to be heard. He set his sights on fighting the good old fight for what's right. So let's show them big guns tonight. Vote for Bundy. If you want to make a change, then vote Bundy today. Vote for Bundy. You gotta do what's right and fight for our lives. Our lives. Vote for Bundy. You gotta do